are hereby withdrawn with immediate effect. Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke has warned against the violence among transport workers' unions in the state, directing security agencies to maintain status quo across motor parks. This is contained in a press release issued by the spokesperson to the governor, Malam Rashid Olawale. It added that all union leaders and their supporters should remain calm and bring any grievances to the state government for resolution. Security agencies are consequently directed to maintain law and order. And away from Osun State, the federal government says it has extended the resumption of commercial operation on the Abuja-Kaduna train service by 1 week for proper security checks. The Minister of Transportation, Muazu Sambo, had earlier said that the train service will resume by the end of this month after disclosure 8 months ago due to a terrorist attack on the train service. The minister explained that security measures put in place to forestall attacks is the documentation of valid phone number and the national identification card of the prospective passengers, which is in global best practice. He also said that the government will increase the fares as the ministry consults with relevant stakeholders to know when to commence the increment. Sambo, however, disclosed that the number of trips will be reduced, and when the number of passengers increases and the traveling public begins to have confidence in the service, they will increase, stating that the night trips, that is the 6 to 8 p.m. trips, have been cancelled. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timbre Sylvia, has said that Nigeria needs to spend $410 billion above usual to deliver its energy transition plan by the year 2060. The minister stated this while declaring open the 7th meeting of the National Council on Hydrocarbons with the theme Roadmap and Strategic Option towards Achieving Energy Transition Nigeria, organized by the Federal Minister of Petroleum Resources in collaboration with Niger State Government in Mina. According to the minister, energy is crucial for almost every conceivable aspect of development, noting that life expectancy is significantly related to energy consumption per capita, adding that Nigeria must address its energy constraints and will require policy flexibility to deliver it. It should be recalled that the federal government launched the Energy Transition Plan in August this year, which showcased the country's pathway to achieving net zero emission by 2060 and Nigeria's leadership role in enabling a just and equitable climate future for Africa. In the meantime, the Minister of State for Power, Mr. Godi Jedi Agba, has reiterated the federal government's determination to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty by the year 2030 through its energy transition plan. Jedi Agba disclosed this during 2022 Nigeria Energy Forum Day 2 virtual edition held today following the Day 1 physical event earlier held in Lagos. According to the minister, ETP will lift no fewer than 100 Nigerians out of poverty and drive economic growth of the country. He said the ETP analysis shows that delivering Nigeria's net zero target requires $1.9 trillion spending up to 2060, including $410 billion above business as usual spending. Jedi Agba explained in designing the plan key targets from relevant policies and initiatives such as the 2020 Economic Sustainability Plan, the Nigeria Electrification Project, the National Decarbonization Program, and the Presidential Power Initiative. On out to sport, Iran has released more than 700 prisoners after the national team's World Cup football 2-0 victory over the Wales. The government announced that several 90 detainees were freed from different prisons in the country. Among those are some arrested during the recent demonstrations which have shaken Iran for more than 2 months. The ongoing protests were triggered by the September 16 death in custody of Mahsa Amini, 22 years, after an arrest by morality police for an alleged breach of Iran's strict dress rules for women. Reports say 2 of the most prominent figures detained over the demonstrations, former international footballer Voria Gofore and dissident Hosseini Ronaldo, were also let out on bail. Iran scored twice deep into stoppage time to stone the wheels and breathe new life into its World Cup campaign ahead of a politically charged showdown coming up tomorrow against the United States. And on the foreign scene, a court in the Comoros has handed down a life sentence for high treason to ex-President Ahmed Abdallah Sambi. Sambi, aged 64, an arch-rival of President Azali Asmani, was sentenced by the State Security Court, whose rulings cannot be appealed, for selling passports to stateless people living in the Gulf. It was gathered that Sambi, who led the small Indian Ocean archipelago between 2006 and 2011, pushed through a law in 2008 allowing the sale of passports for high fees. The scheme is aimed at the so-called Bidon, an Arab minority numbering in the tens of thousands who cannot obtain citizenship. The former president also accused of embezzling millions of dollars under the scheme, and the cost was more than $1.8 billion, more than the impoverished nation's gross domestic product (GDP). Sambi refused to attend the trial after a brief appearance at the first hearing, as his lawyer said there were no guarantees he would be judged fairly. He had already spent 4 years behind bars before he faced trial, far exceeding the maximum 8 months. And that ends the evening news on Osbc television. Join us at 7 for the major reports. Good evening.
Ayọ̀ ìgbà yìí o àsàn wá síre ìgbà ọ̀tun ti dé aráyé ẹ wá bá wa yọ̀.